Sometimes the most revealing moments in a marriage don't happen behind closed doors. They happen live, on camera, in front of millions of people, disguised as a joke. That's exactly what unfolded on a recent episode of Live with Kelly&Mark, when a lighthearted conversation about teeth grinding somehow turned into one of the most talked about exchanges between Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos in months. On the surface it was comedy. Underneath it, viewers sensed something far more interesting. A real-time glimpse into how this couple actually communicates, teases, and pushes back on each other after nearly 3 decades together. It started innocently enough. Their guest that day, actor Adam Rodriguez, mentioned he struggles with grinding his teeth at night. Kelly, ever the problem solver, jumped in with a solution pulled straight from her own life. She told him she could fix it, explaining that Botox injected into the jaw stops the grinding entirely. It's a treatment she's spoken about before, something her dentist recommended after years of clenching her teeth, something she's described as genuinely life-changing for her. And that's where most celebrity segments would end. A guest shares a problem, the host offers a solution, everyone moves on. But this is Kelly&Mark we're talking about, and if there's one thing longtime viewers know, it's that Mark rarely lets a moment like that pass without inserting himself into it. He couldn't resist. As Kelly explained the benefits of the treatment, Mark chimed in with a warning of his own, telling their guest that the trade-off wasn't so simple, that after getting the injections you won't be able to smile the same way, won't be able to move your face quite like before. And then he did what he always does. He performed it. Right there, live, in front of a studio audience, Mark contorted his face into an exaggerated, limp expression, essentially reenacting what he imagines his wife looks like right after her appointments. It's a small gesture, but it's worth pausing on, because moments like this tell us so much more about a relationship than any scripted interview ever could. Mark wasn't attacking Kelly. He wasn't being cruel. He was doing something couples who've been together a long time often do without even realizing it, using humor as a form of closeness. There's a particular kind of comfort that comes from being able to tease your spouse in front of an audience of millions and know, without a doubt, that she can take it, dish it right back, and the whole thing will end in laughter rather than tension. And Kelly, predictably, didn't just sit there and absorb it. She pushed back immediately, insisting that she smiles and chews just fine, "Thank you very much." Mark, still not backing down, added that maybe that's true, but only after the first couple of days. And then, of course, he made the face again. It's the kind of back and forth that feels almost theatrical, and in a sense, it is. These two have spent years perfecting a rhythm on live television that most couples could never replicate, largely because most couples don't have a studio audience watching their every exchange. But what makes it feel authentic rather than performative is the fact that neither of them seems to be following a script in these moments. The comebacks are too quick, too specific, too rooted in the small, irritating, affectionate details that only someone who's shared a life with you would know to bring up. That's really the heart of why audiences keep watching. It's not the Botox itself. It's not even really the joke. It's the glimpse into a dynamic that feels lived in, two people who've built an entire identity, both personally and professionally, around being able to go toe-to-toe with each other and come out the other side still laughing. But then came the line that turned a simple bit into something people couldn't stop talking about. Kelly, clearly done letting Mark have the last word, turned the joke back on him with a warning of her own. She told him, essentially, to remember what he'd just said the next time he came looking for affection later that night. If he tried to get close to her, she wasn't going to want to hear any questions about why she was suddenly pulling away. She wasn't going to want a whole conversation about what was wrong or why she seemed distant. Her jaw, she joked, simply wouldn't be able to move. The audience erupted. And Mark, visibly caught off guard by how quickly his own joke had been turned into ammunition against him, didn't even try to recover. He just laughed, threw up his hands, and called for a commercial break right then and there. It's a small moment in the grand scheme of a single television episode, but it says something much bigger about how this marriage actually functions. Kelly didn't get flustered. She didn't get defensive about a cosmetic procedure she's been open about for years. Instead, she took the joke, raised the stakes, and handed her husband a taste of his own comedic medicine, all while somehow making it feel playful rather than pointed. That's a skill. Not every couple can tease each other publicly without it curdling into something uncomfortable to watch. There's a real art to landing a jab that stings just enough to be funny without ever crossing into something that feels mean-spirited, and Kelly and Mark have clearly had almost 30 years of practice figuring out exactly where that line sits for them. It's worth thinking about why viewers respond so strongly to exchanges like this one. Part of it is simply that morning television rarely offers this level of unfiltered interaction. Most hosts are polished, careful, aware of every word before it leaves their mouth. Kelly and Mark, by contrast, have built their entire show around the opposite instinct, letting real reactions happen in real time, even when that means one of them ends up on the losing side of a joke. There's also something deeply relatable buried underneath all the humor. Long-term relationships are full of these tiny negotiations. The teasing, the callbacks to old jokes, the running bits that only make sense to the two people inside them. When Kelly threatens Mark with a jaw that supposedly won't move later that night, she's tapping into something almost universal. The particular language couples develop after years together, where a joke about physical affection becomes a stand-in for so many other things. Trust, ease, the comfort of knowing exactly how the other person will react. And then there's Mark's reaction to being outmaneuvered. He didn't argue. He didn't try to win the exchange back. He simply laughed and pulled the plug on the segment, which in its own way says a lot about how he handles losing to his wife in these moments. There's no ego bruised, no need to have the final word. Just an easy acceptance that she got him, fair and square, and the show would live to tease another day. It also can't be overlooked how open Kelly has been about the reason behind the treatment in the first place. She's spoken candidly about being a lifelong teeth grinder, describing how the physical habit was tied to something almost emotional for her. A way of holding back thoughts she didn't want spilling out. That's a surprisingly vulnerable detail to share on a national talk show, tucked quietly into the middle of what otherwise plays as a comedic bit. It's easy to miss if you're only half paying attention, but it adds a layer of honesty underneath all the jokes. Here is a woman who has openly discussed a health issue affecting her daily life, found a solution that changed things for her, and is now willing to let her husband turn that very personal detail into a punchline, because she trusts the relationship enough to know it won't actually hurt her. That trust is really what this entire segment is built on. Without it, Mark's joke would land very differently. Without it, Kelly's comeback wouldn't feel playful, it would feel like an attack. The reason none of it feels uncomfortable to watch is because both of them clearly understand the unspoken rules they've built over the years. How far is too far, what's fair game, and when it's time to hand the moment back to the other person. It's also worth remembering the timing of all this. This particular exchange happened not long after the couple celebrated another wedding anniversary, a milestone Kelly marked with a heartfelt tribute online. There's something fitting about a couple who just celebrated decades together immediately turning around and bantering like they're still trying to one-up each other after date number 3. It suggests that whatever they've built hasn't calcified into routine. There's still an edge to it, still a spark, still two people who enjoy getting a reaction out of each other. Maybe that's the real reason clips like this spread so quickly and keep people coming back. It's not really about Botox or teeth grinding, or who won a particular joke on a Tuesday morning talk show. It's about watching two people who've spent nearly 30 years together still choosing to engage with each other this way, still teasing, still flirting, still finding new material in the smallest, most mundane details of daily life. Perhaps the reason so many people remain invested in Kelly and Mark isn't simply because they've spent decades in the spotlight together. It's because audiences keep catching these small, unscripted glimpses of something genuine, a partnership that hasn't lost its playfulness, even after everything. And maybe that's why moments like this stay with viewers long after the segment ends and the show has moved on to something else entirely. What did you think of this exchange? Did Kelly's comeback land better than Mark's original joke, or do you think he still came out ahead? And what is it about their dynamic that keeps you watching year after year? Share your thoughts below. This is exactly the kind of conversation worth having.